So this is a video about what we call curve fitting, sinusoidal curve fitting. So sinusoidal is just a big word that means you're going to use a sine equation or a cosine equation. And this is a reminder of the generic form of a sine curve. Of course, we could replace it with cosine and all this still works. So A stands for amplitude, F is frequency, which is equal to 2 pi divided by the period. This little Greek letter, phi, is a phase shift, and V is vertical shift. Phase shift is shifting left and right. Vertical shift is shifting up and down. So we look at, we're going to take a couple of these problems and look at them and see if we can write an equation to them. I'm going to get this out of the way so I can see, so I can write right next to this. So this is given, number one, it says given is some data on the average monthly temperatures in Salt Lake City. Input is the number corresponding to the month, and output is the temperature. So the first thing you notice here is there's 2 different Januaries, 2 different Februaries, and 2 different Marches. Because what we're trying to do is, when we write a model, we're not trying to hit these numbers precisely or exactly, but we're trying to come up with an equation that models in general what's going on. So you might have some data points that look like this. And you could draw a sine curve that looks like this. It won't hit all the points exactly, but it'll basically follow the pattern. And so that's what we're trying to do. So, and generally when you're trying to write a sine curve, it's really helpful to know the high point and low point. So that's kind of the first thing I look for. Is the maximum, where is that? And the minimum, where is that? So the minimum, the lowest temperature, is occurring in January. And we have 2 different to pick from, and you could pick one or pick the other or average them. But you basically just try to come up with a low point. I'm going to just pick the lowest one. And so that is 36.1. And it occurs at 1. Because it says up here that we're going to let the input or the x value be the number that corresponds to month. And January is 1. And the maximum, if we look through here, it looks like it occurs in July. So that would be 7,92.3. So once I get a maximum in, then it's a lot easier to figure out things. So we know that my A is going to be 92.3 minus 36.1 divided by 2. Because remember, amplitude is the distance from the middle to the top or from the middle to the bottom. And so 92.3 minus 36.1 is the total distance from top to bottom. So we divide that in 2, that will give us half the distance, which is what the amplitude is. And that ends up being about 28. And then the vertical shifts, which is the next thing I like to do, is just the new middle. Because remember, anything that's not the 0 is affected only by the vertical shift and not by the stretch. So the middle is the only thing we can really purely see how it's shifted. So that's going to be, and a good way to find the middle is to subtract the amp from the top. So that'd be 92.3 minus 28. And then frequency, of course, is just 2 pi divided by the period. And the period we know here is 12, because that's how long it takes to go through one cycle. So that'd be pi over 6. And then the last thing to do is the phase shift. And so first of all, we decide whether we want to use sine or cosine. And because the low is so close to the beginning, so if you look at a graph here real quick, the low point is at 36.1, so it'd be like right here somewhere. So basically it looks like that. And where this is 1. So you can see the low point is just 1 to the right of the y-axis. So that means my phase shift, if I use negative cosine, is just going to be a minus 1. I mean a 1 to the right. So with all that information, we're going to go y equals, we'll put a negative out front because we want negative cosine because we're shifting to the bottom. And we'll put the 28 out front. And then cosine frequency is pi over 6. And my phase shift is minus 1 because I want to go to the right. And the vertical shift is, let's see, what is it? I didn't do that, did I? So that'd be 62, 64.3.